Yo, my dog? Mariah's in an interview. I'm tempted to start over. Alright. Xander! It's because Jamie's probably ready to go outside. Welcome back to Every Disney Movie Ever. My name is Jess and I'm watching Every Disney Movie Ever. Today I'm going to talk about A Bug's Life. A Bug's Life is a 1998 theatrical release directed by John Lasseter and Andrew Stanton, both of whom I've covered in previous videos. They'll be listed in the link in the description. The cinematography was by Sharon Calahan, who is best known for John Carter, Cars 3, The Good Dinosaur, and this. Supervising animators include Dale McBeath, Glenn McQueen, and Rich Quaid. Dale McBeath is best known for The Frighteners, Jumanji, The Incredibles, and The Mask. Glenn McQueen is best known for Toy Stories 1 and 2, Monsters, Inc., and this. Rich Quaid I covered in the video about Toy Story, link will be in the description. The film was edited by Lee Unkrich, music by Randy Newman, and it was written by Andrew Stanton, Don McHenry, and Bob Shaw, all of whom I've covered in previous videos. I'll be listed in the link in the description. So the film is based off a very old, tale called The Ant and the Grasshopper, or The Ant and the Cicada, by Aesop. I don't know how to pronounce that. Between 620 and 584 BCE. It didn't have a long summary because it's, changed over the course of time, but basically it was originally a cicada, not a grasshopper, and the cicada danced the spring and summer away, paying no mind to the changing weather, and then an ant stored up food for winter, and then when winter came, the cicada was cold and hungry and begged for food, and the ant basically was like, dance the winter away. That's what you get for not working hard. So, harsh, but teaching the cicada a lesson, basically. The film stars Dave Foley, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Kevin Spacey, Hayden Panettiere, David Hyde Pierce, Joe Ranft, Dennis Leary, Jonathan Harris, Madeline Kahn, Bonnie Hunt, Brad Garrett, Phyllis Diller, and Richard Kind. Dave Foley plays Flick and is best known for The Kids in the Hall, Blast from the Past, The Wrong Guy, and this. Julia Louis-Dreyfus plays Ada and is best known for Seinfeld, Enough Said, Veep, and The New Adventures of Old Christine. Kevin Spacey plays Hopper, Joe Ranft plays Heimlich, Dennis Leary plays Francis, and Brad Garrett plays Dim. All of these people I've covered in previous videos. They'll be listed in the description. Hayden Panettiere plays Dot, and she's best known for Heroes, I Love You, Beth Cooper, Remember the Titans, and Nashville. David Hyde Pierce plays Slim and is best known for Frasier, Wet Hot American Summer, Down with Love, and this. Jonathan Harris plays Manny and is best known for Lost in Space, Space Academy, Battlestar Galactica, in this. Madeline Kahn plays the Moth. There is a first part of that name, but it's the G word, and I've talked about the G word in Hunchback of Notre Dame. If you want to understand why I don't say that word, please, I encourage you to go check out the Hunchback video. It was 400, if that makes it easier for you, because we don't say the G word on this channel. It's a racial slur, technically. So, Madeline Kahn played the Moth. She's best known for Paper Moon, Young Frankenstein, Blazing Saddles, and Clue. Bonnie Hunt plays Rosie, and she's best known for Jumanji, The Green Mile, Jerry Maguire, and Rain Man. Phyllis Diller plays the Queen, and she's best known for Eight on the Lamb, Titus, The Phyllis Diller Show, and this. Richard Kind plays Molt, and is best known for Inside Out, Argo, A Serious Man, and this. Lasseter, Stanton, Pete Docter, and Joe Ranft all had lunch in 1994 and conceived many film ideas that have come to be since. They conceived this, Toy Story 2, Monsters, Inc., and Finding Nemo among them. Lasseter chose Stanton as his co-director to relieve some stress from himself and also train Stanton in directing. They decided to adapt The Ant and the Grasshopper because Disney had done Disney had made a short and tried thinking about adapting it in the 80s. Eisner and the rest of Disney decided that this was a great project to be the next Disney-Pixar partnership project, so they greenlit it. They adapted the story, but Stanton took major issue with the circus bugs just changing like a light switch, so they reworked it, and then they really liked Flick. They made Flick like a main character, and by doing that, they decided to bring in Donald McHenry and Bob Shaw, very famous comedy writers, to polish it up, add some jokes, etc. The cast, as you could see, was a bunch of 90s sitcom stars in their prime. Julia Louis-Dreyfus was on Seinfeld when this movie came out. David Hyde Pierce was on Frasier when this came out. These are all sitcom stars that were in their prime. Kids in the Hall, I don't know if Kids in the Hall was still on at the time. Not a sitcom, but still. Other casting, they really wanted Robert De Niro for Hopper, but he turned it down repeatedly, which is funny because now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think Robert De Niro has ever done a Disney movie, which is interesting. But at the Oscars for Toy Story, John Lasseter met Kevin Spacey. They hit it off, and he said something like, would you be interested in being in this? And Kevin Spacey signed on immediately. The computers were slow during the character design and model for this film because they were going even deeper than they did in Toy Story, and they had to go deeper into more characters instead of just like Buzz and Woody and then the occasional character. There were a lot of characters getting a lot of in-depth stuff. Hopper and his whole crew, and then Flick with the circus crew, and Ada and Dot and the Queen. Like, it was a lot of characters to go more in depth with. A technician created a tiny little camera on a tiny little Lego car to get the ants' perspective. They called it the bug cam. They also got a lot of inspiration from the documentary Microcosms, which talks about a lot of insects. They decided to redesign ants to make them more or less likable because ants aren't cute, I guess. And so they gave them 4 legs instead of 6 and changed their body, had them walk around on 2 legs, etc. They tried to make it a little bit more appealing and human life-like. Bill Reeves had to create the ant crowd simulator every movie. We're getting a new crowd simulator, which I think it was the ants would move, look different, and move different in large numbers to appear random, and I think it was like something to 6 to 8 different looks, movements, etc., and then place them all through so each ant looked individually different. Okay, so a lot of you might know about this, but A Bug's Life and a very similar film called Ants came out around a similar time. You guys probably know that those movies came out around a similar time and you remember both of them. You might even mix some of them up. For a long time, I didn't remember which one was the Disney one and which one wasn't the Disney one. I think I've seen both of them only once, whatever. Now. Ants is a DreamWorks animated feature. It was the first DreamWorks animated feature. Prince of Egypt was supposed to be first, this ended up being first. DreamWorks, as I've stated in the past, was created by 3 people, one of them being Jeffrey Katzenberg. Jeffrey Katzenberg left Disney very bitterly, and so bitterly that Eisner ensured that he never got a bonus or like a severance thing, that he just was cut off and left. Katzenberg's first film with DreamWorks was Ants. It caused a lot of tension, as I'm sure you can say, can understand. Jobs and Katzenberg went head-to-head because Steve Jobs is the owner of Pixar at this moment. Steve Jobs and Katzenberg went head-to-head a lot about this, but it kind of has a starting period. John Lasseter and Jeffrey Katzenberg were friends because John Lasseter wasn't at Disney. He was the Pixar guy, and so he was friends with Katzenberg, and the beef with Disney wasn't about Lasseter and Katzenberg. So Lasseter and Katzenberg would often call each other to talk about, like, how things were going, the ideas they had, what was in development, blah, blah, blah. While Katzenberg and Joe Ranft went to visit, Lasseter and Joe Ranft went to visit Katzenberg at his office at DreamWorks or Universal or something, just to see how he was doing. They were like having lunch or something, and he started talking about A Bug's Life, and Katzenberg showed a lot of interest in A Bug's Life, even asked, like, all about the characters, when it would come out, etc. John Lasseter, later hearing about Ants, was convinced that Katzenberg stole A Bug's Life's idea. And him and Joe Ranft felt awful. They kept morale high at Pixar to keep making the film, but they felt terrible. The major difference between A Bug's Life and Ants, from what I can tell, is that A Bug's Life is much more accessible to children, where Ants has a lot of adult references and humor, which is interesting, because now I have to watch Ants. I need to see Ants to compare them, so I might do that. Maybe I'll do that as a live stream Patreon thing, or who knows. But Lasseter becomes convinced that Katzenberg stole this idea and is very hurt and very sad. Katzenberg insists he heard it from some guy in 1991 and not at Disney, and Lasseter doesn't believe him, blah, blah, blah. Katzenberg told Jobs that he would consider postponing Ants if they postponed A Bug's Life not to compete with Prince of Egypt. Steve Jobs said, that's extortion, absolutely not. And so A Bug's Life and Ants came out around a similar time. I think A Bug's Life did better, but they both did relatively well. And then later down the line, after the success of Shrek, Jeffrey Katzenberg tried to call and make a little bit of amends and say that he truly didn't steal the idea and he did really hear it in a different pitch, not at Disney, and the general reaction to him trying to do that apology was meh, okay. So, T. The film had a $120 million budget, made $363.3 million in the box office. Smashing success, 92% on Rotten Tomatoes. People said it was a fantastic, another early witty movie from Pixar. It was nominated for Oscars but didn't win, but it did win a Grammy. There's a video game and a 4D show, so I'm about to tell you that I saw this movie when I was young, maybe once. I remembered none of it. It was like watching it for the first time again yesterday. But I will tell you that I remember the 4D show quite vividly. I'd been to the 4D show a couple times. The smelling and the bugs crawling under your seat, no. And I remember my good friend Tommy, he's like my family, he's like my cousin. My good friend Tommy was with us. He came with that. Like, this is the biggest time I remember this. And but just before the smell came out, Tommy looked at me and said, "This is going to be foul." And then the smell came and it was horrible. It was the worst. There was also a Bugs Land at California Adventure in LA until it was taken over by, I believe, Cars, and if not Cars, Pixar in general. So I don't have a lot to say about this movie one way or the other. I thought it was good. I was entertained. I think I like it better than Toy Story, but because I'm just not a big Toy Story person. I've never been a big Toy Story person, but I don't like it better than some of like Pixar's newer stuff. Like Inside Out, I think is probably my favorite Pixar film. It's a freaking masterpiece. Inside Out is the best they'll ever do. I don't think they'll do better than that, although Soul was very profound, but that's Pete Docter. Pete Docter did Inside Out and Soul, so not surprising. But I will say, like, it was good. It was entertaining. I enjoyed it. I thought it was funny. It had some really funny lines. The Pizza Planet truck was cool to see, and then at some point in the background of the bar scene, a fly says, "Hey waiter, I'm in my soup," and I thought that was really funny and clever. I was stressed some of the time, and it reminded me of a TikTok I just saw that said, "What film radicalized you as a child?" And someone showed A Bug's Life, and it was the scene where Hopper is saying, like, they outnumber us 100 to 1, and if they get any ideas, they could beat us easy, and stuff like that, like, which made me laugh. That TikTok made me laugh. If I can find it, I'll put it in, but I doubt I can find it, honestly, because they just get lost in the abyss. Otherwise, I don't have much to say. It was pretty good. It wasn't horrible, obviously, because 92% of Rotten Tomatoes is a genuinely good film, but it wasn't like, you know, I wasn't like, or, you know, like, yeah, I was just like, yeah, it was good. It was a good movie. Like a 7. I think I give it a 7. Also, there are bloopers at the end of the film, and they were cute. They aren't genuine bloopers that they animated. They're just bloopers that they kind of faked, I think. But the Buzz Lightyear blooper was funny because Flick goes to infinity and beyond, which was hilarious because this was the second Pixar movie and people already started doing that. That's everything I have for A Bug's Life. I enjoyed it. Definitely recommend. Watch it. It's on Disney+. I give it 7 ants out of 10. I told the movie count is. Parent Death Toll and Crack Count are still the same. If you want to keep up with what movie I'm watching when, follow me as a to find out what movie I'm watching when. I put up videos every Monday and Friday and sometimes Wednesday. Join Patreon. Buy merch. The new merch is still out. Go buy it. Seriously. Come on now. Come on now. Do that. Okay. Until next time, comment, like, subscribe, on if you are, so you do, and don't be Hopper about it. I need to go clip off this hangnail because it hurts.